Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. On this week's episode of Bitcoin Made Simple, I hopefully will make Bitcoin simple for you. But I'm going to talk about JPEGs galore. It's a dead of winter, so let's talk about heating your house with a miner. It is like 8 degrees right now. So I don't think I'm effectively offsetting any of my heating costs at the moment. Um, but and for those of you that live up north or wherever, basically outside of the United States, where you guys use that Celsius, the Celsius number. I had a science teacher. They called it Celsius. So I don't know if that's a proper way to call it, but anyways, for those of you that are in the Celsius area, I don't know what 8 degrees Fahrenheit equates to, but it's freaking cold. Cold enough that can't take the kids outside to play. And yeah, so we're gonna talk about that. And then also get into a little bit about what's going on at Movies Plus, work-life balance, things of that nature. And yeah, I'm recording the video this time by accident, but I mean, what the hell, I might as well just put it up with the video. I've been putting up the still image. If you watch it on YouTube or watch the video on Spotify, I guess you can is the other place you can watch a video. If you watch it on either of those places, I've been putting up a static image. But I guess this time, because I didn't shut the camera off ahead of time, I'm sitting here staring at myself, and what the heck, maybe it'll increase or be more entertaining for people to have something to look at. I don't know. Whatever. Moving on. And before we get into all that stuff, I want to remind you guys that if you have Bitcoin and it's on an exchange, you might lose that Bitcoin. And I don't want you to lose the Bitcoin. I don't want you to lose out on your ability to break free from the state controlled money, the bank controlled money, the money that is trying to deprive you of your wealth. I don't want to have you guys lose that ability. So don't lose your Bitcoin by putting it on an exchange. Make sure that you have a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet from Shift Crypto. Go to shiftcrypto.ch/ Bitcoin Made Simple and use the promo code Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off, and you will happily take your coins off the exchange, hold them in your wallet. It's very simple and easy to use. I should actually, now that I have the video on this time, I wish I had it, but I could show you the hardware wallet. I mean, it's like a thumb drive. It's really small, but it's touchscreen, easy, simple to use. Get your coins off the exchange and get them into or as some people call it, a signing device. Because as I explained to somebody, who was I talking to about it? Maybe my dad I was talking to about what a Bitcoin wallet is. And yeah, no, it might not have been my dad, but somebody, and I was explaining how the simplest way I can put it is that you have and for those of you that are smarter than me, which is most of you, you're probably rolling your eyes at this point, but it's basically like you have a safety. Actually, no, it's my business partner. That's who it was I was explaining to. So one of my business partners was asking, and so I said it's basically like you have the Bitcoin, all Bitcoin are stored in the same safety deposit box room, like the safe at the bank. And there's all these boxes. Your public address is the number on the outside of the box that everyone can see. You are the only one that has wait, hold on. How did I explain this? Well, basically, your private key tells you where to find your safety deposit box, and then your key, your what is it? Your private, and you guys are probably gonna crush me for this. So maybe you could, if you have a better way to describe it, DM me, and help me through this. But it basically maps to you where your safety deposit box is, and then your private key is the only key. Your cryptographic key is the only key that can unlock said safety deposit box. So other people might be able to find it and locate it, but they are unable to unlock it, and retrieve the bitcoins on the inside. So for those of you that are still worried about trying to do it, it's really not that hard. And you'll still be super paranoid the first time you do it. Once you do it, you'll understand that it was worth it and you should do it more often. So, anyways, also shout out to Upstream Data. Go to upstreamdata.ca and you can check out all the stuff they have. Some of the things that they have, which I'm actually trying to get on my own property, would be they have a hash gen right now that is like I saw Adamo, so Denver Bitcoin on Twitter. If you guys follow him, he had they were at some kind of they had a display at some trade show, and it's a generator that generates takes natural gas and generates it into electricity. Obviously, duh, that's what a generator is. Um, but it has enough space for 24 new gen miners in it. Um, and so that's kind of like a combination of a generator slash hash hut, which is really good because I asked, I mean, they have like, you'd have to contact them for a quote. But basically, what I got with pricing wise, it's like very reasonable if you're looking to get into an endeavor like this. Because I'll tell you, if you want to go look, I mean, I think you spend like $500,000 on a natural gas generator for commercial purposes. So, you're definitely going to be saving a lot of money doing it this way. Plus, it's kind of a hash hut mixed with the generator. I want to plug it into my house. The question would be, how loud will it be? So that'll be something I explore with upstream data if I can start exploring that. All right. And then also go to Movies Plus. You guys have been using those those promo code Corys Cory to get $6 off, gets you annual, not a manual, Jesus, an annual subscription for $24. So that would be in my smooth brain back of the napkin math, $2 a month. And yeah, you can watch everything you want to watch. We have a bunch of exciting stuff. We have the film festival coming up. I'll get into that more, but we do have uh, Peter McCormack's documentary will be at the film festival, and we have more coming in. We have a new, so close to closing the deal, a new original series that I cannot wait to get out there to the world because it's completely different than everything else we've done. It's a narrative, it's fun, it's sci-fi, it's a comedy, it's all that kind of stuff, and it's just got a great feel, a great aesthetic. Um, and you guys will enjoy the crap out of it. So we got that, and then we also have the Dividers coming out about the whole 4chan taking down Shia LaBeouf and his "He Will Not Divide Us" thingy-mabobber. Anyways, so the biggest news in Bitcoin right now is JPEGs. I don't, I'll be honest with you guys right now. I know next to nothing about JPEG, what this whole JPEG thing is, but I think I know enough to read the room and understand that it's not a big deal. I mean, it doesn't mean you should dismiss it, but yeah, I just don't think it's a big deal. Apparently, people are sending JPEGs. This was I guess maybe enabled through either through SegWit and Taproot or the soft forks or a combination of the two. But apparently, you can now like I've used the OP return. I think it's Ben the Carman is the one that set it up, and it's the bot that you can basically pay a Lightning invoice and put a message into the blockchain, and it gets stamped into the blockchain forever. So I've done that a handful of times. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so it's called OP return. But I think it's basically something similar. So your blocks are not getting the sizes aren't increasing, but I've seen that people are saying a lot of full blocks are going through. Um, all I don't know what it was 10 megabit bytes or whatever is what the space is. I'm a Bitcoiner, so I should know that better. But that is being used and taken up by JPEGs now. So that raises a lot of interesting questions. Um, One of the attack vectors that I worry about is the fact that people could put uh, illegal material up there, and then if you're running a node, potentially it shows up on your node, um, and then you are holding a copy of it. I've seen that floated, and that's really the only thing. Like, I don't think, and I need somebody to explain it. So like, I've seen Shinobi out there. Maybe I'll reach out to him. Like, I don't, because he's kind of saying like it's not a big deal. And I really trust Shinobi with this level. Um, as he says, the as everyone says, the weaponized autism. So he definitely understands it better than I do. Um, and he just gets obsessed with this stuff, and he's kind of one of my go-to people for like, hey, is this something to worry about? um and so yeah, maybe I'll reach out to him just to talk it through so that I can figure it out. But at first blush, I'm like, it's not increasing the block size. I think eventually, if people are going to want to spam the blockchain with full blocks, if the miner fees compensate for that, then that's great. And people, it won't be an incentive for people to fill up the block spaces if they're ending up um, paying a lot of money for it, and it'll benefit the miners. So, hey, as a Bitcoin miner, I appreciate that. Send those fees my way. But right now, I don't think the fees are going up, but I do know that the blocks have been getting full as of right this moment, which is Friday, February 3rd. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I don't want to get too far into it because I don't know enough about it, and I don't want to spread FUD. But um, yeah, just be don't get all you know this don't get all bent out of shape. I mean, it is what it is. The other big thing that's been going down is the mass exodus of people rolling over uh to Noster. And Noster, if you don't know what that is, it is a decentralized Twitter, basically social media platform that works off of relays. You have to download the app Damus, Damus. Um, and here's how dumb I am. It took me about a week to say, because I've seen people calling it Noster, and then I realized there was an app called Damus, and I was like, why the hell would they call the app Damus whenever the social media thing is Noster? Like, I don't get it. Why would they call it Damus? And then I was like, isn't that funny? It sounds like Nostradamus, like Nostr. That's what they mean. Okay. Um, so I hope I'm not the only one that was that dumb to not put it together on my first try. But yeah, I pulled it together, figured out what it was. I got on there, accidentally posted. I mean, it's not a big deal because it was Luke's public key. Like, I saw him join, and that's how you find each other, is not through usernames but through public keys. And then you have a private key, which is your way to sign into the platform. Um, and I wanted to try and find him, so I was trying to search him, but I instead tweeted it out, or I don't know what you call it, nostered it out. And yeah, but that's another thing that I don't know a lot about, and I'm gonna have to probably have somebody on to explain it to me better. But from what I understand, just at my brief, like, I've been going on there like once a day asking a question and then like leaving because I'm just trying to figure things out. But not to sound I'm so important. Um, I'm not trying to sound like that, but I have just so much going on. And that's why I want to talk about work-life balance. Um, and I have barely any time to focus on these things. So I'm like, the moment I get in there, I'm like, I just ask a question and then I usually get an answer from somebody, and then I'm like, okay, and then I'll leave and don't have time to put it together yet. But but what I understand is that it is completely decentralized. Um, I think I don't know what the relays are per se, but you set up relays, which I assume is relaying information between you and other people. Um, and I went on, and I created my account. It has a default image for your profile picture, and I wanted to put my profile picture up from Twitter. So I tried uploading it, and I was like, well, you can't just upload it to the app. And then I realized at that point, so you have to go to a website, which they like it's like a Noster, builder's website, and you go there, and you upload the picture there, so it creates a web address that that picture lives on, and that picture is then fed to your profile. So you have to, so you connect it that way. So it's not living on some centralized server, but I still don't know completely where that lives, where that website lives, um, or that web address that has the image. One thing that's cool though, I've seen a couple of people do it. Preston Pish was the first one to do it. He had, I mean, not maybe the first one I saw. Um, was he had like moving images, like it's like a GIF in his profile picture, and that's something you can do on Noster. So I haven't had the time to fart around with that yet, but that sounds pretty cool, and I want to definitely dig into that because you guys know my visual background. I love to play with stuff like that. Um, so yeah, that is very interesting to me. Like Jack Dorsey's on there giving everyone hugs, saying what's up. And he, I think, thinks this is the future, and I think he's right. Um, and it also is interesting because it plays into something that I want to do with Movies Plus. Um, I've talked about it before here, of like the decentralized server farm, and it's basically what this is. But this is for tailored towards social media, and mine would be tailored towards like yeah, a streaming platform. So I got to dig into this. I don't even know. Like I've had so many things sent to me, like Guy Swan sent me, and I just haven't had the time to sit down because I've been focused. I have to build the business. Um, so I've been focused on that, and there's things like Hole Punch, which this might be a part of Hole Punch and Keat.io. I have no idea. I haven't connected the dots yet. But I know that there's a bunch of solutions, and leave it to Bitcoiners to figure these things out. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it well enough yet, so I haven't got there quite yet. And speaking of, how I was saying things are crazy and out of control. Before I do that, I want to mention that you should get a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet from Shift Crypto. Go to shiftcrypto.ch/ Bitcoin Made Simple to get 5% off. Um, so yeah, the work-life balance thing has been completely out of whack in my life. To the point that like the other day, yesterday actually, I had a friend, I was in a meeting, I had a friend I saw calling me, and I was like, oh, I really want to talk to him. So I was going from one meeting to another, and I had 25 minutes in the car, and I like called him, and I was like, hey man, just fair warning, I got 25 minutes while I'm in the car between meetings. And he was like, oh man, that sounds miserable. And I was like, sometimes it is, yeah, like, and it made me take a step back, like, yeah, sometimes I do want to take a beat, um, and enjoy the finer things in life. Um, like the Finer Things Club from The Office. But you just what I'm learning is that you have to have that balance of you can't be all work all the time because you'll lose your grasp on reality. Um, and the same thing I think goes for like you can't be all Bitcoin all the time. Um, because it's such a big thing. It's such uh a life changing thing. It's such like a paradigm shifting uh like worldview upending, complete and total mind f that just flips everything on its head and changes the way you look at like everything. Um, and it's almost like you need to have your one foot on the ground to make sure you don't get out of control. Now, this is going to be a really bad analogy, but like, did you ever partake in enough in alcohol to the point that when you laid down in bed, it was your room felt like it was spinning, but then you could flop your leg out and put it on the floor, and it made it stop. Um, and you kind of remain grounded that way. And I have found that with Bitcoin, there was probably the first like 6 months that I was into Bitcoin, um, was like, white knuckling, holding on to like the railing and just like, nothing but Bitcoin. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm paying attention to. That's all I'm listening to, all I'm reading about. Oh, blah, 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 blah. And that's all well and good, but you have to have a balance. So I see a lot of people in the Bitcoin space crap on being like a sports fan, which if you're watching the video of this, I have a Pittsburgh Pirates shirt on with a Pittsburgh Steelers hat. So you know where my allegiances lie at all time. Um, but yeah, people don't like people crap on being sports fans. Oh, it's a shit coin. Oh, I don't like sports ball, blah, blah, blah. Ever since I got into Bitcoin. I mean, if that's what you want, that's fine. Maybe you have your other thing that keeps you, grounded. But yeah, for me, it is sports. Sports keeps me grounded. Um, so I recommend it to anybody, to have those things outside of Bitcoin. And then like the same with like, work and stuff like that of like um, things that will keep your feet on the ground. Um, and yeah, it's I recommend you guys do that because I've found that sometimes I don't am not doing that and life becomes a little hectic and there's too much chaos. And then once I get grounded again, it's like, oh, I'm lucky that my wife does that for me because she's like, hey, dummy, come here. Stop worrying about work. You have other things in life to focus on. Um, so, if you're lucky like me, then you have somebody like that to do it for you. But if you don't, then make sure that you're keeping yourself in check. Um, and then, oh, before I get into the heating thing, like I had this, so I think I became moon pilled like immediately. And I try not to go down this conspiracy rabbit holes. I told you guys the conspiracy potholes. Don't get stuck in a conspiracy pothole. Rabbit holes are fine, but not potholes. Well, I saw this video. This is completely, I guess, unrelated to Bitcoin, but somebody who I trust to be not a like crazy conspiracy person because like we have these. I don't want to call anybody crazy, so that's not what I'm doing. But we have these flat Earth documentaries on Movies Plus that that were brought to us, and I was like, yeah, well, freedom of speech, you put anything up. I can't get there on the flat Earth thing. I just can't. I no offense to them, believe what you want to believe. Um, I tried watching. I was like, I just want to see what they're saying. Maybe I'll be flat pilled or something. I don't know. I just couldn't get there. Uh, just too much evidence stacks up otherwise with simple science experiments you can do. I do have the unfair advantage of having a physics and astronomy teacher in my family, my brother. So I can just talk to him and be like, hey, how do we disprove this with simple utensils we find around the house, and we can figure it out. So um so I saw somebody that I trust to not go down all like the be really resistant to conspiracy theories, and they posted this video by I think it's called the Y Files or something, in this pretty popular YouTube channel I've never seen before, was talking about the moon being hollow, and it just blew my mind that this is actually a possibility because the only thing, I mean, there's it gets into a lot of things. People thinking maybe it's a space station, all this crazy stuff, but they left the size. They wanted to measure the seismic uh, activity when they crashed the lunar module into the surface of the moon. So when Apollo 12 left, they didn't need that part of it anymore, so they jettisoned it off. And according to this video and what I've been able to find online is that um, the the tremors uh, were like vibrating like a bell for like over an hour, as if it was a hollow surface. It's very interesting. And it was also very interesting that the dust, the top layer of soil, they say is older than the dirt and rock underneath on the moon. So, and it should be the opposite way. So, it's just it's fascinating, and I could probably start a whole podcast series on what I am learning through my own self discovery and research of like human history, where we come from, and how it all ties in. And here's the crazy thing: is I had a friend that was pointing me in this direction and saying like, "Hey, you want to if you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it." And I was really hesitant because, as you guys know, I am a strong devout Catholic, so I am hesitant. I was like, I said to him at the beginning, I was like, I'm like comfortable where I am at my like faith, journey right now, and I don't really want to like upend any of my views. I'm not really in like the mode to be challenged. And you have to be real with yourself. Sometimes, and like I always say with my faith, I've always challenged it and push it to the next level and be like, well, I don't just take I don't trust, I verify, which I guess was like I was a Bitcoiner from the beginning, but like I don't just take what the priest is saying at face value. I'm like, prove it, not really. I mean, it's not like God's gonna walk down and give me a high five and be like, told you. But yeah, I like to test it. I don't like to just sit there and be a lemming and listen and go, okay, you told me that, so I'll go with it. Um, and that comes with through discernment, and all that kind of stuff. So, anyways, maybe I could start a podcast about that. But it is the most fascinating journey I've ever been on. And well, not the most fascinating, but intellectually, I guess, or historically, like when talking about history, it's fascinating because from what I've pieced together, and it's basically not from one source, um, it's from studying and looking at different information, cross-referencing things, different cultures, different historical data, different mythologies from different parts of the world from years past. So I've, essentially, to give you the very top line is, at this point I believe that we had a pre 13,000 years ago, roughly, we had a very advanced civilization. I mean, Graham Hancock talks about this. So, and he's not like, I don't, it's funny because I watch his stuff for like a reference, but I don't take it, he's like wondering of all these different things. I'm like, I don't think he's quite piecing it together. Um, and yeah, it's funny because my friend and he's the one that I talked to in the car in between meetings, because I had texted him this video. I was like, dude, you got to watch this. um but there was this one part of it that it's hard to explain, like, but anyways, I've been able to piece together, it's like I think the great floods were real. I think you're like starting to look at things in the Bible and you're like, maybe truth is stranger than fiction. Maybe a lot of these things actually happened. Um, they're not just parables being told to, it's just, anyways, I can't even go there in this short period of time because you guys will think I'm crazy, but I believe have been around a lot longer than historians think. I think there was an advanced civilization before us. And in watching this video, uh he talks about how there was ancient civilizations that never referenced the moon. They talk about the stars in the sky and everything like that, the sun, but they don't talk about the moon. Um, and that's interesting because of how the moon regulates our climate and stabilizes our poles and keeps the oceans and the flow of the oceans going in a certain way, and the effects that it has on, I mean, it's crazy. Like the moon has an effect on our menstruation, our fertility cycles, for men even too, for fertility cycles, for the harvesting, for the seasons, for everything. um so it makes you wonder, it's like, what if the moon wasn't here, what would this world look like? And one of the things that clicked, and I mean, I'm just giving you tea leaves here, but it was like saying that there was pre without the moon in this potential pre like this world, this prehistoric world, I guess, or whatever, where humans lived potentially, um like the gravitational pull wasn't there to keep the water in the oceans and lakes and everything like that, so it would, um there was like a mist around the earth, not like a thick cloud that you couldn't see through, but anyways, Uh, and that lends credence to things like Atlantis being real and potentially existing, which, I mean, Plato went and talked to the elders in Egypt who talked about this place called Atlantis. And why would they be lying about it? Uh, and it was washed away by a flood. So all of a sudden you're like, oh, Noah's Ark. I guess maybe that happened. Um, so yeah, it's just interesting. Um, interesting, because I was watching that video just for fun. And I was like, oh, that would be cool if it was a space station. And then, like, but the moment it was talking about the mist in the sky and the fact that the moon would bring that down, I was like, oh my God, this lines up with so many other things that I've learned. Um, so I don't claim to know everything and know exactly what's going on. And this is just, I'm letting you guys in on my inner brain of things that I entertain myself with whenever I have to remove myself from the movie business completely and focus on things that aren't Bitcoin or movie related. And I just need to decompress. That's how I decompress, is trying to figure out the human history, the entire civilization and human history, and where we come from as humans and how this all plays out. That's what I do to decompress. Um, so if I ever have hypertension, then you'll understand why. You would think I'd just drink coffee all day, but I only do it in the morning, I promise. Um, so yeah, it's just interesting. I find it fascinating, and ultimately, we have no idea where we came from. Like, anyone claiming that we do is full of crap. Anyone that's claiming that we're harming the environment right now is full of crap. I mean, we have trees. We think about this, as my friend put it. So there are trees and plants everywhere, and they consume the carbon dioxide that he was like, we breathe in oxygen and we shit out carbon dioxide. Don't actually shit it, but you exhale it. We shit out carbon dioxide. He said, and that exact stuff that we shit out is what the trees need to stay, and plants need to stay alive, and they consume it. And then what they shit out is oxygen, which is exactly what we need. Um, and so anyone that's saying they're going like, oh, if you drive a SUV, you're hurting the environment. The carbon dioxide, it's terrible. The CO2. Um, Newsflash: CO2 creates a more lush environment, helps plants grow, makes it more green, and so it makes you wonder why they want you to get rid of the CO2. Hmm. Maybe they don't want it as green. Maybe they don't want as much carbon, which is you as a human being. Um, so yeah, it it's interesting, and there's just so many people that claim to know where we came from, claim to know all these things, and claim to know that we're harming the environment. Which also, by the way, I'm not saying we're not harming the environment. You can definitely harm your environment, and there's certain things that you shouldn't do. But for people to claim that the science has settled and it's this or that, you are so full of crap, man. And you cannot tell me that it's one way or the other, because it isn't. It just isn't. That's not how it works. So I hate to break it to you. I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Um, but it's not what you think. And anyone that's trying to sell you that is probably grifting, and trying to make a buck. Hello, Al Gore, Inconvenient Truth. Buy my book, watch my movie, give me money. Um, and I'm not just saying that because he's Al Gore. I'm sure there's evil people on the right too. I'm trying to play both sides here. I don't want to offend anyone. Um, so yeah, anyways, it's just, we have no idea where we came from, and it is fascinating to dig into it and try and figure out how this place came. Now, this is interesting because I was like, what if it was a space station? What if there are aliens in there? And what if the aliens sent us the information? What if the Satoshi was an alien? People have said that before. What if he was in the moon and he sent from the moon down to Earth the code to start Bitcoin? And then how ironic would it be that everyone wants Bitcoin to go to the moon when it came from the moon? Hey, um, so anyways, Yeah. And then the last thing, completely getting out of that because my brain's gonna explode if I keep thinking about this stuff. It's just too deep. Um, and sorry if I bored you, but I don't know. I find it interesting. And if you guys ever have any resources on stuff to research, I love digging down those rabbit holes and cross referencing things. That's why I tweeted the other day. I watched that video and I went from being the moon is a solid rock that just rotates around the earth to all of a sudden I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars. That's no moon. That's a space station. Um, so yeah, but anyways, heating homes with Bitcoin miner. Just a quick update on that. I think I have to improve my HVAC system, and I mean my HVAC system from my miner into the home system because what was working, I think, in the fall and early winter does not appear to be working so well right now. I'm not really offsetting the cost of the electricity or the cost of the heater. Like my electric bill last month was like $700. Um, it was a little bit. It was a little much. Um, so obviously the miner takes up a lot of that, but pre it getting this really frigid cold here in the middle of winter, it was I think offsetting a good amount because my furnace was running, but and it's runs on electric, but uh, my electric bill was staying about the same. Um, so I think in like that mild temperature it can work, but I don't know. I think I have to get it more plugged directly into. So I probably won't get it ready by the end of this winter because Jesus, we're February 3rd already. Um, so I don't know. I don't think I'll get it done in time for that, but maybe I will get it ready. I don't know. Maybe I'll get it ready for uh maybe I'll get it ready for next year. I'll have all summer to work on it. So what the heck? Why not? Might as well. But if anybody has any ideas other than, I mean, I'm gonna reach out to Crypto Cloaks to figure out what we could do. But if you guys have any ideas or any setups, please DM them to me, or if you want to tweet them at me, I'll retweet them out and say, hey, check out this home setup. Um, anyway, so yep, that's all I got for you guys today. Just go and get a Bitbox O2 hardware wallet from Shift Crypto. Please get your coins off the exchange. Go to shiftcrypto.ch/Bitcoin made simple and get 5% off. And I will talk to you guys later.